Hi, this is Miss Lou, and today we're going to be talking about general photo editing. So, this is the basic stuff about editing any photo that you have in Photopea. So, in this video, you're going to learn how to crop, how to bump up saturation, play with levels, and generally make your photos a little bit brighter and more interesting and vibrant to look at. So today, to complete this task, we have my puppy Ellie Mae. And we're going to be using this photo that I just took. And you notice that the colors are pretty nice, but it might be a little bit dull. I was in a slightly darker room. This was off of my phone. So by no means was I set up to take a excellent photo. So I used natural light. I did what I could, had her pose, and the beauty of it is post-processing, which means after you take the photo, we can use programs like Photopea to enhance and make this photo even better. To start off, we're going to crop this photo. It's quite large. There's a lot of dead space up here. So we're going to utilize the crop tool right here. And you generally want to stay as close to the ratio of the photo as possible, which means you don't want to make it too squarey. You don't want to go too far in here and make it really squat. Just kind of keep in mind that if you were to frame it and use um, like a standard format frame, if you did a cropping like this or like an Instagram type crop, there's not too many frames that it would fit in. You can always crop differently depending on if you're putting the photo elsewhere, or many social media programs will crop for you. So I generally like to think about, how am I going to crop it as if I was going to frame it, which also means I give a little bit of extra room on each side just in case I have some sort of mat or the frame kind of sits inside the photo a little bit and crops off some things for me. It won't crop out anything that's important. The nice thing about cropping also when you're using the crop tool is, just like the free transform, you notice that if I move my mouse to the corners, or actually any of the anchors, it turns into a arrow, double arrow, which means that you can turn your cropping. So if I wanted to, I could line this up to the window so that it didn't look so crooked. But also make sure that the edges of your cropping don't extend past the original photo, because if you do that and you press enter, it will create a little weird cutoff area and it'll be really obvious. So right here, I have it a little bit cut off, so I'm going to just shrink that in just enough so that it's still in the photo. So if I'm happy with my cropping, I'm going to go up into the options bar, click confirm, or you can hit enter on your keyboard, and there we have it. So we have a good base of cropping. There's not too much extra space or dead space in there. Everything looks good. You can still see her clearly. So now we're going to go up back into image, go to adjustments, and there's several menus that you can play with when you're manipulating your photos that are my general go-tos. Sometimes I will use brightness and contrast, and I'll show you what that does. Brightness, of course, makes the picture all over brighter. Contrast brings out the differences between the lights and the darks. In general, I don't really use this very much because I really like using levels, which is the next one. So in the levels menu, this looks pretty complicated, but in general, I'm going to break it down to just the very simplest parts that will get you the most effect on your photo here. So you have these three little anchors right here. And this is basically like a channel histogram. It shows the different values. I'm not going to get too technical into that just because for that would be more of an advanced thing. Just know that this little black box is for your shadows, this gray box is for your midtones, and this white box is for your highlights. So I'm going to just very slowly adjust my levels until I'm happy with where it is. And just use your eyesight. You know, if you want to learn this program more professionally, there's a lot of things and videos that you could utilize to learn this, but that's not our purpose. I'm just here to teach you the very basics of photo manipulating in this program. So you notice that I have brightened up this photo just a little bit. I've added a little bit of contrast. I like where it is, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And I'll show you the difference. So if I go to my history palette and go back, you can see that it was a little darker, a little bit grayer, and now it's a little bit brighter. I also want to bump up the colors just to make it a little splashier. So we're going to use our trusty old hue and saturation. So I'm not going to change the hue because I don't necessarily want any of the colors to change, but I am going to bump up the saturation. And you don't want to go too crazy and make her into a neon dog. So I'm just going to bump it up just a little bit, just so it still looks natural. And I'm also going to be playing with the vibrance. And that just kind of warms things up or cools things down, makes it a little bit more intense. And if you're not quite sure what it looked like before, and if you like what you did, you can always go back to the original and just see the difference. And you can see here that my photo looks much more lively and colorful and in general happier. So that's really pretty much all I do for basic photo editing. If you have any questions as you're completing the practices, just let me know. And thanks for watching.